Now we're going to slide in here with Ivan Santos, getting started in cloud security. Cloud is hot right now, and Ivan's going to share with us getting started in cloud. Hey, Ivan, how are you doing?
Hey, Jerry, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I'm just getting my screen share situated. One sec.
No problem. No problem. I see here in the links you've asked for the a link for the presentation. Do you want me to bring that link up or make it available to chat?
Yeah, whenever, so I made a one-page deliverable for y'all that accompanies my presentation, so that way everybody will have all the resources I talk about.
Okay. Oh, that's
Just a
perfect.
Google Drive, and so that link will take them to the PDF.
Okay, I'll drop that in chat and I will share it with everybody. While Ivan's bringing his talk up, I see it right now. Ivan, this is the link that I'm going to drop in chat, and you can see these two resources that Ivan has shared that you'll be able to access once I drop that link in chat. All right, Ivan Santos, thanks for being here, and why don't you take it away?
Awesome, thank you. Um, okay, let's get started, y'all. As you can see, my topic is getting started in cloud security. And I'm Ivan, and I won't be talking too much about my. I have a slide dedicated to that. So on this slide, though, did just want to emphasize that I know this is more geared to like beginners, people coming in, but I also wanted to add some flavor to those that may be already in tech and interested in pivoting into cloud, specifically cloud security. So we're going to kind of cover all of that in this presentation today. Um, so the agenda, you can see it's not too long in terms of topics. I really tried to personalize this presentation as much as possible because when I was originally putting it together, I realized y'all could just Google this info and get all the resources that way. And so as we go into these topics, this is really going to highlight what my journey has looked like getting into cloud security, and hopefully you can glean from that. And that link that Jerry's going to provide y'all, that's the one pager that kind of encapsulates all my favorite resources that I've used and that I'm still using. So you'll have that available as well. So we'll just talk about my journey, my key takeaways. I'm going to go through some simple cloud skill trees based on roles, and then of course my closing thoughts. And just the disclaimer, I represent myself here, right? Nothing represents my employer or anything else. And so with that being said, let's get into my journey. So right off the bat, I did not come from a tech background, in college at least. My degree was biomedical science. And there was just a moment, in that season where I realized that I didn't want to go to med school. I come from a family of medical professionals, doctors, nurses, etc. And it's just all I knew, right? So I never really grew up tech savvy. I was a gamer, that's about it. But I didn't really know much. And so I just took a chance. I networked that last semester. I met some professors in the comp sci department. And long story short, one of them really opened the door for me and gave me a shot. And that's how I got this cybersecurity internship at VF Corporation. And this was really where it all started, right? And during this internship, this was a 3-month internship, and it aligned very well with like my graduation date. And so right after the internship, I did good enough to get hired on as a full-time security analyst. And so this was back in 2015, and I know back then it was like almost not unheard of, but it was really rare to just jump into infosec, information security at the time. And so I just really want to emphasize that importance, and you'll see this throughout the presentation, of just networking, getting those mentors in front of you, getting your face out there. And that's what really opened the door for me. And I'll jump more into the specific things I did there in the next slide. But this is really where it all started. And I was more of a generalist here. I did pretty much anything and everything they wanted me to because I was the intern, right? And they brought me in as a full time person. And so I really did establish a good baseline of all the different security domains. I didn't even do anything cloud at this point. This was just, your typical security day to day sec operations type work. Um, and again, I didn't have a tech background, so I really had to go hard to, establish some kind of foothold in the community where I could be presented with some kind of opportunity to get in. And originally, my plan was to go help desk and then, networking, then build up to security. But because I got this internship and I really consumed myself, treated it as like a 90-day interview, if you will. And it really opened the door to the security analyst role right away. And so after that, I established my baseline. I went on to do some government work. And this is where I feel I started to realize that there were specializations out there that were a little bit more interesting to me at the time, right? And so here I moved more from that analyst type role to a more security engineering type role where I was helping to develop, fine tune security tooling, all that good stuff that an engineer does. And then as I was on my way out of the government, I did some pen testing with Homeland Security. This was only for a short season, maybe like 6 months. And I learned really quickly that pen testing was not for me. I loved like the aspect of it. Learning it was amazing. Seeing it in action was cool. But I think I realized really quickly in terms of a specialization, what I was going to devote my energy and focus on, this was not it for me. And so I moved on from here into USA. And this is really where I started doing some cloud work. So I came in as a data security advisor for their bank, and this was my first exposure to cloud. I helped with a giant data migration into Snowflake, AWS, and whatnot. And then after that, I did some time in security audits. And this is where I really honed my GRC skills. And shout out to Dr. G here. I love his GRC course. And I know he emphasizes that it is just an important skill to have, whichever domain you're in security. And I definitely vouch for that. And so I spent some time there doing some technical audits at the third line level. And then finally, I made my way into the cloud security engineer role. And so, just to recap, it took me about 4 years into my tech journey to actually get that dedicated cloud security engineer role. And I know it's definitely possible to start right away into a cloud security role, but I at least in my experience, it's definitely not the norm. So just to set expectations clear, like I really established my baseline over here at VF. And then in government, I fine tuned those skills and got some narrow focus with engineering and pen testing. And then at USAA, I took all of that knowledge, all of that skill set, and I was part of projects and teams that touched cloud, right? And during this time, I had networked internally super heavily. um, I met the cloud security team, the leaders, all that good stuff. And then, I interviewed and I got the role. And it was awesome. My time there was awesome. I will always have love for the leaders there. And after USAA in 2022, this was like my golden year, if you will. Um, and I guess I would say this is the year when in my head I was like, oh man, I made it. I'm doing it. And so before we get to the good stuff, though, there was a huge um, failure I had this year that really set me back. I did interview with one of the big CSPs, and I went to final rounds, everything, 8 hours of interviewing. I had to do a presentation. It was pretty intense, and I thought I had it right, and I totally did not get it. And it was a pretty depressing time, a pretty depressing season for me. And but after that, I was chosen as part of the USAA team to go speak at AWS Reinforce. And I also became a boot camp instructor for Full Stack Academy. And I just kind of, I was down maybe for about a month. And then after that, I just picked myself back up, also thanks to my family and my mentors. And I just started doing my thing again, keeping it consistent, keeping that discipline, that day to day growth, that networking, all that good stuff. As much as that season sucked, um, I just, was uplifted and I went at it again. And because of that, now currently, I went over to the Google family of I hit my 1 year already, and so I've been here since then, and, really here, I just wanted to paint y'all, a personalized picture of what my journey has been like, and in the next slide, we'll kinda dive a little bit deeper of my key takeaways from it that I think y'all will glean from, but some of the things that I did wanna call out is, it's definitely possible to start in cloud security right away, but it's not the norm. There is almost an expectation of a certain IT foundation that you have to have when you start securing cloud infrastructure, right? And so, as you can see, for me, it took me 4 years, right? And then I finally got it over here. And then, even at that, when I tried to get to one of the major CSPs, I didn't get it right away either. I failed. And so, it's okay to fail, and I think because of the people I surrounded myself throughout this whole journey, I have had mentors, multiple, at every single job I was at, and they've all been amazing. I still keep in touch with all of them, and then, of course, the support of my family, and then just that discipline. Tying all this together has really gotten me to where I am today, and so, yeah, this is my journey at a super high level. Now let's go into some key takeaways from it. And so that link that was shared with y'all, and if you're having problems accessing or getting the file, please let me know. You can connect with me after and I can send it to you myself. But I made this one pager for you guys. Like I said, I really wanted to personalize this presentation instead of just throwing tips, tricks, and resources your way because you can just get that from Google. And so this is a very curated list that, again, resources that I've either used or that I am using. Anything on here I vouch for, and this is, kind of specific to this presentation as well. So it may be kind of small, but the four key sections in the doc I've highlighted are general IT skills, general IT security skills, cloud specific skills, and then your soft skills. And so let's go over some key takeaways throughout my journey. So the very first one, excuse me, sorry, y'all, let me drink some water. So the very first one, as y'all are either starting your tech journey or if y'all are already in some kind of tech role but you're interested in cloud, one thing that I think is super imperative that you do right off the bat is just learn IT, right? Establish a baseline for cloud. In my opinion, at a minimum, you have to know compute, databases, file storage, file systems, and networking. Networking is super important for the cloud. Um, and then another key takeaway that I've seen in my career is just your general security skills, right? And this is all over the place, but when I think generalized security skills, I'm thinking of your core domains, risk management, asset management, IAM, security architecture engineering, network security, um, security testing, right? Your pen testing, app testing, all that stuff, SecOps, SDLC. Um, Getting these skill sets, even if at a high level, these will be imperative when interviewing for your security roles, especially those cloud security roles, because the basics, the security foundations are still the same in cloud as they are in your traditional on-prem security, right? There may be some nuances there, but the domains hold true. And once you know security, you can just apply said security to whatever tech stack you're working on. And so I'm really glad I took the time at VF Corp and government to hone my security skills because when it came time to cloud, I did have to skill up and learn, but I already had that solid baseline. And so I was able to take this and, just apply it to cloud, right? Or whatever it is you're going to work on. Now I'm a little bit interested in machine learning. Being at Google, I have access to some cool projects that I can work on. And it's the same concept, right? I can take these essential baselines and apply that to ML, just like I did with cloud. And so I think this is so, so important early on in your career, or early on when you're starting, or if you're already in tech. I think you just need these essential baselines from the get go, whichever domain you want to specialize in. And then after you have this essential baseline in place, I think the next step, especially because if you're interested in cloud security, obviously, is to learn cloud security, right? And once you have this baseline, I just kind of put this together as like, this is what in my head, I process this as a specialization. Once you have said baseline again, you specialize however you want. Tech, especially, cyber has a plethora of specializations and domains you can go into. But of course, this talk is cloud security. So I'm going to call out cloud security. And again, I'm not going to go over the resources in here. Y'all can do that on your own time, but you will have my favorite ones for you in this document. And everything on this doc, by the way, is also free. I try to use free as much as possible or get the company to sponsor, right? And then last but not least, I do have soft skills. And as you can see, I've kind of containerized everything, right? So soft skills throughout my journey from the previous slide, again, that permeated throughout the entire journey and even today, right? This is such a crucial, I don't even want to say skill set. It's just so important to have soft skills. And for me, soft skills, I would define them like, if you improve these, they will also improve in your everyday life as well, right? Like communication, active listening, collaborating with others, relationship building, dealing with hard people, hard situations, organization skills, critical thinking, right, etc. So these are kind of the things that I lump into soft skills, and these are like a constant thing that should always be leveled up, if you will, with your tech stuff up here. And soft skills again encompasses it all. And I'm a big believer, like, if you have the tech skills, you're definitely awesome. But if you have the tech skills and you can layer on the appropriate soft skills, you'll be a rock star. And so, again, don't skimp on the soft skills. I will just say right now, the tried and true ones for me over the years have been, they're down here, right? But Austin, Belsac, and Jeff Sue, whenever people ask me like for help with this stuff, I always just send them their materials. They've been my tried and true resource for years now, right? And then of course just honing it on my day to day life. And so these are kind of my key takeaways as I was reflecting back when I was making this deck. The four key callouts, right? Have a very good essential baseline consisting of IT and security. And then once you decide what to specialize in, take that baseline and then just layer that new knowledge on top of it. And then from there, um, consistently work on those soft skills in parallel to everything you're doing. And this has been my approach, y'all. And I think, I've been doing all right so far. And so nothing has changed, right? As I'm trying to learn more machine learning, ML, I'm using the same approach, right? Networking internally, um, setting up meetings with some of the engineers, picking their brains, doing that, and then on my own, labbing, reading, etc., etc. And so I'm going to just take a quick pause there, take some water, and then one, I'll share one story. Let me just check my phone, do a quick time check. Okay, we're good. I'll share one quick story. So again, harping on the soft skills portion, this was like 2015, 2016, right? When I was at VF Corporation, when I very first started. We weren't really remote yet because, pandemic hadn't happened and it was majorly in office. And that was probably the time where I learned the quickest because when I had access to people in person, little disclaimer, I love remote, okay? But there's definitely value for that face to face, especially when I was an intern. I had some of the SMEs, the architects, hey, Ivan, come look at this real quick. Like, I didn't have to schedule meetings with them to learn from them, if that makes sense. It was more, just cohesive, organic, the lunch talks, all that stuff. And so I want to encourage y'all that, have access to people in person, especially if you're working in an office or if you know tech people in real life. Be intentional with just gleaning from them in person because you'll work on your soft skills at the same time while learning from them as well. And I've used that approach ever since, right? And now I'm in a more remote role, so it's a little tougher to do that. But, I'm kind of learning as I go to navigate that fine medium of being able to glean from others while being remotely. Yeah, in office, I always took advantage whenever I could, excuse me, whenever I could meet with people, glean from people, I absolutely did it. And then as I got better, I did the same for others as well, right? Like I had my own interns and my own juniors that I would, show cool stuff to. Hey, come look at this, right? And so it's just a really cool thing to be aware of because sometimes in our day to day we can, just be so prioritized with what we're doing hands on keyboard, we forget about that people aspect. But I do want to emphasize that because throughout my whole career, even to present day, I think it's been a huge differentiator that's allowed me to accelerate as I have. Okay, so that's that. So now we're going to go, I'm just going to give some super high level example roles here. And I did not make these skill maps. These were made by one of my mentors. His name is Raj. He's an AWS SA solutions architect. And I took this from one of his videos. This is also linked in the document that y'all will get via the link. And so we're just going to go into a couple of example roles to maybe visually show you some of the skill sets that are needed for cloud security or cloud roles in general. We'll start off here with the cloud security roles. Um, and so as you can see, this is a pretty simple slide. Just here are your must-haves, your recommendeds. And then the only thing I do disagree with Raj on, he put network security as low return, but I crossed this out because I definitely recommend networking. It is so important, especially if you're setting up your VPC environments and all that good stuff, right? So other than that, I think this is a pretty solid list. And these roles, the cloud security roles, there's like such a variety these days. And even each company, like a cloud security engineer at one company can mean something totally different at another, right? So in general, these cloud sec roles, you'll really be evaluating processes, right? Evaluating new services, cloud pipelines, application configurations, secure infrastructure design. You'll be automating processes as well, right? Especially around this is a hot one these days, right? Compliance enforcement in the cloud. Your auditing and your assurance in the cloud as well, your alerting, your remediation processes. And then, of course, there's now like an offensive aspect as well with for security testing in the cloud. So there's cloud pen testing too, which I believe Tyler before me spoke. He'd be a good one to ask about that stuff. And so, again, there's just a variety of roles you can go for. But I do like what Raj did here. He provided, a nice flow of some of the core skills if you're thinking of going to CloudSec that you should layer on onto that baseline we talked about, right? So that's cloud security. Another good one for cloud, even though this is more general, not necessarily DevSecOps, just DevOps in general. And I'm sure y'all have seen this. There's tons of boot camps on this topic these days, but is your DevOps, right? And for this role, you're really going to be working with infrastructure a lot. Hence, you see, infrastructure as code at the very, very top as a must have. And here you'll really be working on a lot of automation, right? Automation of processes, managing infrastructure, releases, remediation, monitoring, reporting. This is a really hot, um, not specialization, but these roles are in abundance, in my opinion. Like there's a lot of people that are coming into tech brand new or switching from other disciplines, and DevOps roles, I think, hold the majority of what roles they're able to get into right away, right? And I've seen a couple of boot camps too that they take these people with teachers, right, what have you, or whatever, from whatever background, and they learn the skills, they interview, and then they're DevOps engineers. And so if you're not able to get into that cloud sec role right away, I highly recommend looking into DevOps if you're interested in cloud in general, because this is a super good place to start. And the roles here are more prevalent than your cloud roles. And so I just did a time check. I'm at 3 minutes. I'm going to speed through these. Um, so this is a solutions architect. This is another popular role in the cloud space here. As the name implies, you're going to be creating, designing cloud architecture based on organizations' priorities. You'll be doing a lot of educating and advocating too on cloud technologies. You'll be part of a lot of strategic meetings, workshops, demos. You'll be writing up white papers. This is another super, super fun role. And just in full transparency, this is one of the ones I interviewed for and that I did not get, right? This was that failure that I had, and it broke my heart, but it worked out, right? And so this is another cool role if you're interested in cloud to definitely check out. And then finally, your SEs, not security engineer, your software engineers, right? Your developers. These are the guys that do it all. That you would not have cloud without these, right? So if you're specifically interested in developing software engineering programming, you can learn any cloud friendly language: Python, Java, Node.js, Go, right? And that's pretty much all you need. And then you would just need to know how to run this in the cloud. And so this, in my opinion, is another cool area to look at and is very in demand. And so with that said, my closing thoughts for y'all. Number one, anyone can skill up, right? I came from a non-tech background and I just had the discipline, the vision in place, and I went after it, and now I'm here speaking on that. And so anyone can do it, y'all. I'm not a super genius or anything like that. I just stayed the course, and yeah, I'm continuing to do my thing. So if I can encourage you, anyone can skill up. Number two, back to my takeaway slide. I really just want to highlight this again. You got to have a solid tech baseline and then look into a specialization, but layer that on that baseline, right? And then soft skills just encapsulates everything. As you're skilling up, doing all this, improve and work on those soft skills accordingly, and have those right people in place that can, uplift you, teach you, etc. And then finally, your journey is your own. Take control and get at it. Let's hit those goals. And yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I hope this was helpful. You can find me here. I don't have a heavy social media presence, but in the Simply Cyber Discord, I'm Ice Cream Cookies, and then this is my LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out if I could help you in any way. And I just want to shout out to the team for putting this together. They do an amazing job. And again, Dr. G, in my opinion, one of the best out there. And thank you so much for having me, y'all.
Absolutely. And Ivan, thank you. That was an exceptional talk. Guys, like Ivan's story and his path, like that is a completely realistic path. Ivan has walked it. He's demonstrated. He talked about the highs, the lows. I don't know if you've ever seen this graphic, Ivan, but basically it says like start and then success. And what people think is a straight line. And in reality, it's like this big, massive squiggly line. You've ever seen that one?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean
Yeah.
that's basically what it is, and I'm really appreciate you sharing your story and helping people understand. Plus, guys, I've dropped this link in chat like 50 times. I went over to LinkedIn and dropped it in there. I'm going to drop it one more time. This is the link to all the resources. Shout out to Ivan for compiling this and making it available. Such a sweet takeaway for the audience. Ivan, I don't know if you have time or not. If you do, would love for you to go over to the Discord server, the Track One open chat, and do a little Q&A. If anyone in the audience wanted to ask Ivan a question or follow up with Ivan or connect with Ivan, if he has the time, he'll be over in the Track One open chat. Thank you so much, Ivan. We'll see you in a little bit. Appreciate it.
All right.